I've been looking for a CCTV video magnifier for over a year now, and I think I finally maybe found it. This is the CloverBook Pro. It has a 12-inch 1080p screen with a 4K camera, an integrated distance camera, and it can fold up really easily, and it is a pretty cool product. Let's talk about it. Hi everyone, this is Carrie on Accessibility, where we talk about tech and accessibility. I'm visually impaired, and so is my son, who is in elementary school. First, a quick backstory. I bought a Freedom Scientific Topaz PhD many years ago when I used to work at a low vision center, and after almost a decade of using it myself and with a toddler, and as my son grew older, it's on its last legs. It has trouble focusing, like a lot. The light that's shining down on the paper is flickering constantly. It's really hard to position the screen if you pull it down too much. And you know, my son's kind of short right now. Every time he tries to pull it down too much, it just kind of collapses. Not good. So after a lot of Googling, internet shopping, reading blogs, and YouTubing, I decided to get the Humanware Connect 12. But it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't good at what I really needed it for, which is being a magnifier. Suffice it to say, it just didn't work out for us. I've had the chance to play around with and to use the CloverBook Pro for over a month now, so thank you Irie AT for sending this and for sponsoring this video. I'm going to share everything that I really like about this device and everything that I think could also be improved. Here is the CloverBook Pro. It's got large tactile buttons at the front. Some of them are buttons, some of them are knobs with buttons, which is pretty cool. And this is a 12-inch screen. This does have a touch screen, which I'll show in a minute. And it has these buttons, which is great to have both. It really is. It also has the camera. It's on the side here. And all you do is just flip this up. You just flip that up and there's the camera. You can flip it all around. It's pretty cool. One thing that I really want to show is the fact that you can position this pretty much any way. It comes in 3 folds. There's 2 sets of hinges. There's the tray at the bottom, and then there's the stand that's at the back, and then the front with the screen and the controls. If you just put a finger on the tray, you can pull at the top. Can push the screen forward. The hinge that connects the tray with the stand part on the back, it can be moved and keep position all the way at a 90-degree angle, or maybe that's even past, I'm not sure. And it can go down and it'll still be sturdy. Even less than a 45-degree angle, it is still sturdy. It's not going to close on your hand. You can open it all the way if you want and pull this forward, the screen up. So this is what that looks like. This is what it looks like from behind. It says Sight Care on the back. We'll turn it around. On the left side, on the stand part, there is a power button that's round and white and large. And then there's a round power port. This is great. There's no direction on how you have to put it in. It's not even a USB-C, which would also be great, but at least with a round port, it's one of the easiest things ever. Then if you come around on the side of the screen, we have some controls here. First, we have an HDMI in. The second one down is an HDMI out. You can have a second screen for this if you wanted. And then the third one is a USB port. And then there's a SD card slot. The next one is a white button. This switches you between different camera modes, and this blue button all the way on the corner at the bottom is to adjust your lines and blinds. Now let me turn this around. On the opposite side, the right side, going from the top on the side of the screen, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, and it feels like there's something else right above it, but it is just a symbol of headphones. Next one down is a button, a volume up and a volume down, and then autofocus lock, and the bottom orange button is a freeze frame or picture taking button. Those are all the ports and controls on both sides. Now I'm going to turn it to face forward again. On the front we have 5 different controls. The one on the left is a button. This button can take you to the menu or home. Then we have a knob right here. This will control your different color schemes, and it also has a button right in the front of the knob, which is pretty cool, and that will take you to color. There is a kind of joystick in the middle. This is not a button or a knob, but you can move it to the left, to the up, down, right. You can also spin it, but that doesn't actually do anything. The next one is a knob for magnification, and if you push it in, it's for locate, and the next one is an OCR button. What I do want to show really quickly is if you flip the screen up, actually, and I'm going to just show you guys what the other side looks like. So we'll flip this all the way around so I can show you guys. On the back here, we've got the camera. In the middle, at the bottom, this is closer to you when you're using the CCTV. And then you have on the left and right side LED lights. There's a handle here. And there's a button to remove the battery. You can swap out the battery, which is pretty cool, especially if you're have a lot of meetings or have a lot of school. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Let's turn it to the side. On the left side, on the stand part, we have the power button. I'm going to press and hold it. Now I'm going to turn it back towards the front. And there we go. It says Site Care Irie AT. It has a nice little sound and it turns on really quickly. It's kind of deceptive though, because if you don't have anything under it, it's just going to be black and you're like, oh, did it turn on? Oh yeah, it's been on this whole time. Let's go ahead and start out with a book. This is my son's 2nd grade reader. It's a little wrinkly, but that's alright. I just want to again show how cool this is, because you can position this in so many ways. You can lift up the screen a little and then pull it toward you. Accidentally pressed a button. There you go. So it's really close to me, right there. It stays in position. It doesn't fall or anything. You can push the screen down, and now the camera, it's in the back of the screen at the bottom in the middle, and it still focuses. It looks great. And this is super helpful when you are on the smaller side, when you're still a kid and you know you really need to get that screen close to you. Now one thing that's kind of hard is when you get to the top, you are pulling the book toward you off the table. One thing you can do is push the screen and the stand further away from you, and that will move the camera further away, though it does make the screen further away as well. Starting from the right, there is a button, and the next one over is the magnification dial. So let me go ahead and show you that. We can go from this small. It will make that sound once it reaches minimum zoom, and you can increase the magnification and keep increasing the magnification, and it will also make that sound once it reaches the maximum magnification. And now the text is just really large and the letter doesn't even fit on the screen. You can also use the touch screen and pinch in to make it smaller and pinch out to make it larger. You can even move around a little bit on the screen to a certain extent. So if I'm here, I can go from left to right on the page, but I wouldn't be able to go to the other page, which is to the left, since this is a paperback. There is a full page reading mode, which I will show later though. With the left knob, you can adjust the colors. It has lots of color modes, and I think my son has enabled each and every one, so we'll go through it. White on blue, blue on white, yellow on blue, blue on yellow, green on black, black on green, purple on black, black on purple, cyan on blue, black on cyan, red on black, and this is color. If you press and hold the button that's on the knob, it should take you to all the
customized color combination.
There you go. And then you can see all the different color combinations here. The only one that isn't selected is white on red. Okay, let's go ahead and select that one. You can tap on any of these tiles to disable or enable any of these different color modes. And from here, there is a button at the top to go back, or we could also press the bottom left button.
Finish.
Okay, that's the finish button. And let's see if we can find that white on red. Okay, here's the white on red. Oops, it needs to focus a little. Oh, there we go. Like any CCTV, it can lose the focus, especially since the camera is really close right now, but it does a really good job of refocusing. And if you are going through all the colors and you just want to go back to color, you press that button. A quick press takes you back to color. And I really like that feature, just being able to press it quickly and go back to color. The screen is not an OLED screen, but this is a magnifier. I don't actually really mind it. I think it's a really quality screen. I really like that it's matte. Even though it's also touchscreen, it reduces a lot of glare, which is super helpful. And it also isn't as bad with fingerprints. Now back to the magnifier controls. In the middle is that panning joystick. This helps you pan. You can't actually pan on the minimum zoom. There we go. We can't pan here. We can try to move left and right, but it actually doesn't do anything. But when you are magnified, you can move to the left and to the right as much as would show when you were zoomed out all the way. On the right edge of the screen, second from the bottom, right above the orange button, it's a white button, and this is for autofocus lock. And
autofocus locked.
It shows these little symbols on each corner of the screen. It's like a little L symbol, and it's orange, and that shows that it is currently locked. If I try to bring the text closer to the camera or further away, it's not going to focus. This is helpful when you're trying to write and then it tries to focus on your hand instead of keeping the focus on the paper.
Autofocus unlocked.
You can also use that freeze frame button at the bottom edge of the right side. It's the orange button, so if I do that,
freeze image,
it will freeze it. I can move the book away, and now I can look at this image. I can zoom in still. I can change the color if I wanted to. I can zoom out. I can pan around. Okay. And then if you press that button again,
live image.
It is the live image. If you're on the near distance mode, you can press this left button and it will bring up a little toolbar. The first button is for lighting controls. You can turn off the light.
All lights off.
And rely on your room's lighting. I don't recommend that. You can turn
all
that
lights
back on. You can also control the left and right light.
Left light on. All lights. Right light on. All lights off. All lights on.
And then you can also adjust how bright or dim the actual screen is. You can also adjust these with the physical controls.
Brightness adjust. All lights on. Lighting full page brightness adjust. Full page reading mode.
If we go to full page reading mode,
full page reading mode.
At the top left is the back button. At the top right, this is to turn the lights on and off. Then you can go into scanning document mode, or you could take a snapshot of just one page. So I'm going to scan this page actually. I'm going to press this middle button here.
Document scan.
And the bottom button will actually scan it. You'll hear a camera shutter button. And now it'll ask you to crop it if you want. So I'm going to try to crop it and remove my finger from view. And then on the bottom right, you can press the check. It does take a few seconds to process that page. Then you can start scanning the second page. We can hit the download button or the save button at the bottom left.
Document storage check.
There's a back button and a save button. So I'm going to press the save button. And then for a few seconds, it will show a way to add a voice title. So I'm going to press that. It's going to save. It does take a little bit of time to save.
Document saved.
I'm going to tap and hold that microphone button. Hello, this is just a test. Once you let go, there's a play button. Let's hear it.
Hello, this is just a test.
Let's try that again. I'm going to tap and hold that microphone button again. Hello, this is just a test. And now press play.
Hello, this is just a test.
After you stop interacting with it, it will just disappear. And at the bottom here is just to take a singular picture. So if I press that, it takes a few seconds. And now if I want to, I can zoom in. I can pinch to zoom in. I can change the color contrast. And I can also pan around. You can adjust the panning speed by pushing the panning knob in any direction and turning the magnification dial.
Panning speed adjust.
And then you can just turn the magnification dial. If you turn it to the left, it'll slow down your panning speed, or turn it to the right and it will speed up your panning speed. So I've turned it up all the way.
Finish.
And this is what it looks like when it is all the way up. It can be easier to read a book this way. You're just panning from left to right, and then left to right again. Or you can use your finger to move back and forth. You can choose whichever is more comfortable. I find it easier to use my finger, but that's because I'm really used to touchscreen interfaces. My son actually really likes this panning knob, and he uses this all the time. When he's needs to read a chapter, we go ahead and scan all the pages for that chapter that he needs to read for that day, and then we save it, and then he can read from the magnifier. I'll show you guys the file system in just a little bit. If I hit the menu button here on the left, we can press back, and then it will take us back to the full page view. We can press back one more time.
Near view.
And we'll get back to near view. Sometimes when you're zoomed in a whole bunch, it can be really hard to know exactly where you are on the page. You can press in the magnifier button.
Locate on.
And it is for locate. There's a red box that will show you where you are magnified. One really cool thing is you can move this box, and then when you press in the magnification level button,
off.
It turns locate off and it takes you there. Super cool. On the left here we have the lines and blinds button, which is blue, and we can press that.
Line mask on.
Now there's a line that goes across the screen. Press it again, it's a line going up and down. Now it shows horizontal blinds. This can help focus on one line at a time, and if you press it again, now it is vertical blinds, and this can help you follow columns straight down.
Line mask off.
Now let's go over the distance camera that's tucked away on the side here. You just flip it up, and now you should be able to press this white button on the left side here to switch camera modes.
Distance view.
So now I can look at my shelf here, and I can zoom in as much as I want to. I can read what's on my shelf here and examine it. I can see my pixel boxes over there. I'm going to lower this down here so you guys can see this camera. Let's see. Here we go. So this is the... Let me angle this a little bit up so you can see. So this is what the camera looks like. There's a corrugated knob here that you can turn the whole camera arm, and then you can move from left to right. This is pretty cool. You can push it down, you can put it up, you can put it up towards like facing the ceiling almost. You can move it, angle it to the left, you can angle it to the right, and then you can turn it. There's a corrugated dial here, and you can turn it all the way around. And you can look across the room over there. Oh, you can even see my monitor over there, and the time is 12:39. Cool. You can zoom in. Let's zoom in on my clock here. Pretty cool. And then you can even change the color contrast. And go back to color. Pretty cool. You can even do self view if you want to fix your makeup or anything like that, if you just want to look at yourself, but that's okay. We don't need to look at me right now. Let me turn it back around here to face forward. Let's see if I can zoom in enough on this Google Pixel box to read it. Oh, whoa, hello. That's pretty cool. Pixel 8 Pro. I can read that. That is really good quality. If you press that change camera mode button again,
Horizontal split screen.
it can split the screen so you can see the text you have below in near distance. So you could be reading your work text or a worksheet or a book while you're looking at a board or somewhere in the distance. If you press it again,
Vertical split screen.
now it will split it so that one is on the left and one is on the right. And then you can adjust these. So if I tap on the near view mode, now I can adjust this one. There's a red box that goes around it so you know which one you're controlling. You can change the color contrast here. And then if I tap on the right side, the red box goes around the distance. And now I can zoom in here and zoom out. And then I can also change the colors. Go back to color on this one, and then if I press the change camera again,
Near view.
it will toggle back to near view. Now let's take a look at the OCR. We can press the bottom right button. Well, let's zoom out first. And now we're going to hit the text to speech button.
Text to speech check.
And tap
Current
text
page text to speech.
We'll give it a few seconds to process.
Latches did not. And the head of the hoe took him a whole morning. The bad wood was finally cleared away. Next morning I.
There we go. We can make the menu show back up by pressing that bottom left button. We can show picture mode, so it just shows what we've captured an image of, or if you press this leftmost button here,
Text mode.
it'll take us to text mode. You can pinch and it'll make the text much larger and highlight what it's reading as it reads it. There's other options here. You can adjust how fast it speaks. Let's try that. Press the play button.
Did not. And the head of the hoe took him a whole morning. The bad wood was finally cleared away. Next morning I.
That is the fastest speed. Let's go to the very slowest speed.
Did not. And the head of the hoe took him a whole morning.
Okay, and then we can also press previous and next. We can adjust if it's bold or not bold. And then we can also change the color contrast by turning the color contrast dial. Or go back to color as well. If you want to get out of the OCR, you can press and hold the leftmost button and it will take you back to Magnifier. Now if you press and hold the text to speech button, it will take you to full page text to speech mode.
Text to speech.
There we go. Now it looks very similar to full page reading mode, but this one is OCR. Let's try the OCR in this mode. And now we still have the back button at the top left, the lights button at the top right, and now we have a OCR button at the bottom right. And I will go ahead and let's just go to another page without a picture. Okay, let's go here. This looks good. And we'll press it.
Full page text to speech.
We'll give it some time to process.
Matthew straightened the chains of the puzzle again and twisted them the other way.
Let me adjust the speed.
Never seen anything like that. said Joe. He watched Matthew a moment. Hey, said Joe. Are you coming to the fair? I don't think so, said Matthew. I thought sure your pa would have his team in the horse pool.
When you're in OCR mode and you have picture mode enabled, you can zoom in as much as you'd like to. You can pan around. You can change the color, contrast, and everything. You can do all of those things. And you can also adjust segmentation.
Segmentation enabled.
If you have this option on, it splits up the text into different sections or boxes on the screen. I can have it play a specific section.
There's going to be a horse poll, said Matthew. Sure, said Joe. The bank's putting up a prize. $50. $50. 65.
You can
Text
also
mode.
use text mode if you want that. You can scroll up and down. Let's see how big you can get it. Okay, this is as big as you can get it. I've got 3 words here. That's pretty cool. Let's see what that looks like.
Hey, said Joe. Are you coming to the fair? I don't think so, said Matthew. I thought sure your pa would have his team in the horse pool.
I'm going to go back to magnifier mode.
New view.
And when you're in magnifier mode, you can press and hold that bottom left button, which is basically a menu button, and it will take you to the menu. The first one is magnifier. We've already gone over that.
Text to speech.
You can also get to the text to speech mode from the menu.
Open.
You can open. This will be where all your files are stored, whether it's images or document scans.
Setting.
Or settings. So let's go to open.
Open. Memory.
Now you can navigate with the panning dial.
Document. Shared document. Shared picture. Picture.
Let's go into
Document.
document. You can tap on the touchscreen or press the OCR button. So there are files here. If there's a little microphone icon, that means you recorded something.
Hello, this is just a test.
So this is the image that we saved earlier. And then these are other images as well. If I go back, we can go into pictures.
Picture.
Let's see what we've got here. What did Joseph take pictures of?
What in the world is that?
There we go. Now I'm going to go back. If we go into settings, let's look in there.
Option page.
We'll go through the menu with the panning knob.
Voice label. Power saving. Speech guide. Vibration. Tilt compensation. Document scan. Full. Customized color combination.
That's the last one here. Let's go into the other
Voice
tab.
setting page. Voice gender setting. Language setting. Current page text to speech. Table recognition. Voice gender setting.
Let's try this one.
Male voice selected. Language setting. Current page text to speech. Language setting.
Let's go there.
Language setting. 简体中文
繁体中文
日本語 Français Deutsch Nederlands Norsk bokmål Italiano Portugues Ruski Svenska Espanol
한국어 Danish Desztyna
Slovenski
Polski
English US
Okay, we'll stay on English.
Finnish Voice gender setting.
I like the girl better.
Female voice selected.
So I'll keep
Language
that.
setting. Current page text to speech. Table recognition. Voice gender setting.
And there's one more tab.
Factory setting page. Power frequency 60 Hz. System reset. Power system reset.
Okay, so those are the only 2 options there, but there is some text down here with other information. To exit the settings, you can tap on the back button, which is on the top left.
Magnifier. New view.
That is pretty much it. So that is a quick look around the CloverBook Pro. There are a few different models of this device. There's the CloverBook Lite, which starts out at $1,899, and that just has the magnifier no distance camera, and no OCR. Then we have the CloverBook Plus, which comes with a distance camera, but it does not have OCR, and it starts at $2,295. Then we have the CloverBook Pro at $2,995, which is the model that I was showing today, which has the magnifier, distance camera, and OCR. I honestly think it is a really great magnifier in this form factor. Even the way that it's designed and implemented, the tilt compensation is just really nice. The screen quality and the resolution of both the screen and the cameras just are really nice. Even the way that it represents colors, it does a really good job. It comes with a great case. I'll show that on screen. And there's also an option of adding a second screen. You can make it so that one screen is distance and the other is near view. You can also make it so that both are near view or both are distance. And something that I actually found useful, because when I first saw it, I was like, why are they both in near view? What's the point of that? However, if you do have both in near view, what's cool is if you're a mom and you're visually impaired and your child is also visually impaired and you're trying to do work together, one of you can be looking at one screen and the other one on the other screen, which was really pretty cool. I do understand this is probably an edge use case though. The other thing is, if you have both in near view, and you can put the closer one into a micrograph, I believe that's what it's called, and you can see the whole page, and there's a little rectangle that you can move around. Instead of panning around, you just move the little rectangle around the screen and it shows on the top screen. I think having a second screen option is super helpful when it comes to being at school or having a lot of in-person meetings where there's a lot of presentations, things like that. I think this could be super helpful. However, with the second screen, it is a little more challenging. If you need the screen very close to you, like I need it and my son needs it, and you need to be really close to it, like just an inch or a few inches away, then having the second screen, just because of the positioning, it's further away and it's harder to see. I kind of wish it was like next to you instead of behind the first screen. If you want to get a second screen, that's definitely something you need to consider. Talking about positions, I really love the fact that you can change the positions and the hinges are super strong and they don't like fall on you. However, again, because I really need to look at things very closely, it's hard for me because I need to align my chair with the desk and the CCTV. I even got my son a desk that rolls around and it's like height adjustable for the CCTV. It was just becoming kind of tricky to get that right proportion of your chair, the desk, and the screen just perfectly aligned so that you can see it well. I'm really excited about the CloverBook Pro XL that's coming out, and hopefully I can also take a look at that one. The standout feature for me with that is, number one, the screen is bigger, which is always, well, not always, but can be helpful, and the fact that the screen can actually fold up. I don't know how to describe that. If I find some footage, I will add that here. But it's really cool because you can look at it straight on while the camera is still kind of pointing down. And that would just really solve my issues with positioning and just make it just so much easier. I do have a few notes from my son. He really does like it, and he wishes that you could zoom in the settings. It's pretty large, but you can't zoom in there, and most of the items are spoken aloud. I really like the speech, but not everything, almost everything. And it would be great if it told you if something is checked off or not, and you kind of have to check it and then uncheck it to kind of hear if it's enabled or disabled. and then the version numbers. I couldn't figure out a way to have them read to me. But I really like the fact that most things are read. I wish everything was, and that would be really cool. Another comment my son had to say is about the contrast. There's a way to adjust contrast. You press in the color button and turn the magnification dial, and you can adjust contrast, but it's not enough. On some CCTVs, when you adjust the contrast, you're also adjusting like the boldness of the letters in some way, and that's what I want. Like, I wish it could make things bolder. I can do that with WeZoom, and I can do that with the old CCTV I have, and it's just like a different contrast ratio. Maybe it's exposure, or I don't know exactly what the camera term would be, but it would be helpful if we could adjust the contrast more, or the boldness of things more. I can definitely recommend this magnifier. I really like it. I've really been enjoying using it, and so has my son. I do want to talk a little bit about the Humanware Connect 12. It had a lot more features. It was an Android tablet basically, but it was limited by the camera. It just uses the Android tablet camera, which just isn't great. This has a so much better camera. It's not even a fair comparison, I feel. The Connect 12, it might have all the Android apps. It might have like this interface where you can like draw things and answer questions and work text and stuff. It was so slow. The tilt compensation, because of the camera angle and how you would position it, it was just not great at all. And you can really feel and see and notice the fact that the text would be warped because of that tilt. And even if you turn on tilt compensation, it just didn't look right. And the screen wasn't great. It was super reflective and definitely lower resolution. They are both an LCD, but this one is so much brighter, so much easier to use. The touchscreen is so much more responsive. I would absolutely love if we could do more document editing, or do document editing on the CloverBook. Drawing, so if you have a work text and you want to circle answers, right? And even if I had to get it from the SD card and you didn't have Wi-Fi and you didn't have Bluetooth and you don't have like Android apps, that's fine for me. But if we could just draw, or even like enter text, that would be absolutely amazing. That would be fantabulous. Fantastic. I would love that so much. The Connect 12 just tried to do way too many things, and the actual magnifier really extremely suffered. Also, the hinges on that would fall. Okay, it was so hard to position. I'm buying this extremely expensive product to be a magnifier first and foremost. So make the magnifier experience good, please. And that's where the CloverBook Pro really delivers. I'm telling you, I spoke to Jeff from Irie AT. He is super nice, by the way, and I was telling him about my experience, and he was telling me how much better the CloverBook Pro is, and I'm like, yes, I'm expecting you to say that because, you're selling this product. Totally understood. I mean, I was hoping that it was true, because I still really need a magnifier for homeschooling and for myself and for my son. But, kind of took it with a grain of salt. And when it came and we tried it out, I was like, wow, this is just way better. And he was totally right. Definitely exceeded and surpassed my expectations, and I'm really happy with it. that's pretty much it for me on this product. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have a CCTV, let me know what you think. Are you happy with it? And what makes a good CCTV? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to support my mission and what I do here to spread tech and accessibility, please consider becoming a YouTube channel member or joining the Patreon. Thank you so much, everybody, and I'll catch you in the next video.